If you were born after November 2nd, 2000, you belong to the generation that's never known a time when humans aren't living in space. That was the day the first crew arrived at the International Space Station.
First expedition on space station request permission.
Now, Canadian astronaut David Saint-Jacques is picking up the torch as part of crew number 58. But while the ISS may seem like it's been around a long time, Saint-Jacques sees it as a baby step.
Practically speaking, the kind of raison d'etre of the space station is to learn to live for a long time in space. It's a bit as if we were practicing camping in our backyard with our new camping gear before daring to go in the forest for real and then eventually on top of Mount Everest, for example.
In this case, Mount Everest could be the first human expedition to Mars. That's likely decades away, but David Saint-Jacques' time in orbit coincides with a turning point for space exploration. After more than 18 years of continuous human presence in low Earth orbit, the nations that are behind the ISS are now embarking on something new. It's called the Gateway. If built, it would be far smaller than the current space station, but located much farther away, at a position around the Moon. The point of the Gateway would be to serve as a test bed for deep space operations. The bonus is it would also offer participating countries and private companies a platform from which to explore the Moon's resources. The U.S. Space Agency, NASA, is leading the Gateway effort, but NASA is actively looking for its ISS partners, including Canada, to jump on board. Of course, one thing Canada could bring to the Gateway is robotics. That's based on decades of experience developing and operating the Canadarms on the U.S. Space Shuttle and the Canadarm2 on the ISS. But if Gateway ends up getting a Canadarm3, that arm will have to be far more sophisticated than its predecessors and guided by artificial intelligence. That's because the Gateway will only be occupied by humans for part of the time, and it's too far away for someone to operate its robotics by remote control from Earth. Canadian space scientists and entrepreneurs are dreaming about what they might be able to do on the Moon if Canada gets behind the Gateway. While for David Saint-Jacques, it's one more step toward the dream of putting humans on Mars.
I think it makes sense to have a station either on or near the Moon. The extra difficulty of operating so far away will force us to think harder at those problems and come up with even better solutions. And then we'll feel ready to embark on this huge journey to check out Mars. And on the way, we'll learn a lot about ourselves, where we come from, as usual, as with every exploration, and it will make human life better on Earth.